Damn. The pain. It's here again.
还要帮忙找坦
Good
克，
evening,
是不
sir.
是？
Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here.
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right.
How is your stay with us, Mr.
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be...
Can I ask you precisely...
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work.
Can I do it?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills.
Who is treating?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me.
You don't seem...
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry.
Where were you staying?
I really do.
No offense. I was pushing too much.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the...
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Too much energy for so
Damn.
little result.
The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Well, it's a euphemism that you'll help.
How would you describe this situation?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish...
I wish I could believe you.
You must...
Sorry.
How long?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning.
好多问
And
题
no
要
matter
问
how
啊！
qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You're right. When dealing...
Sorry, Doctor.
How is the
Not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual.
Why is Milton grumpy?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation.
Why does Milton...
I don't know.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
问题也有经验。
Giant morgue disguised as a hospital.
Good evening, miss. I'm...
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal. You're nothing but
I beg your pardon.
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well,
You keep calling me mortal.
well, Dr. Reed.
I'm assuming you must be a...
It's only a cover to hide from my enemies.
Who are the...
I cannot say for sure, but I sense their eyes on me.
The staff here are...
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me.
I see. Don't worry.
Thank you, mortal, but do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those...
And why do you believe you're a...
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am.
Please.
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks.
Please.
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patient...
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin...
I see.
Never. Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft?
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
It was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, mistress of the... Good evening.
Evening.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed.
In her madness, she never refers to my...
So do you let her bite?
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. A daily routine.
It's locked.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must...
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory.
You remained perfectly nice and polite.
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to...
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the help.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit.
People are still in dis...
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this container.
How did you end up...
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Horcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
What is the general...
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers trade union.
Who leads the gang?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been...
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long. You know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks, and I try to guide the lost and hesitant on...
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Are you a priest, Mr.
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton?
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel... empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all...
Have you made friends?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew...
You never came to see her here at Pembroke. Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton.
Fear and disgust on every
I
street
have wasted
corner.
too much energy for so little
Daily
result.
routine.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Oof. LP.
It's locked. It's locked, all right.
长长的信。
It's locked.
全部都锁血。
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Doc.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
You should be proud of what you've achieved.
Maybe you're right. But at the moment, I feel like we're just a cemetery waiting room.
Pepper,
To become a nurse...
you should be...
Maybe you're...
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good
I
evening.
need blood.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr.
I'm not sure, Doctor.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mr.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Good evening, Miss.
Evening.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Fear and disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
It's locked, all right.
Not now!
Response. Oh.
I cannot enter.
Oh. TP. 3个人。我会对，帮我弄好名牌了。
Good evening, sir.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival.
Does my arrival
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's
If you have a problem...
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on the...
I know we've never met before, but I believe this...
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital, instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about...
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Knowledge has always been and will remain our main weapon. And it has always come at a price. And personal initiative.
It is not a question of initiative. It is a question of integrity. These men and women have put their faith in us, Dr. Reed.
Thank you for your time.
What can I do for you, Doc?
Thank you, nurse. Good evening, sir. I'm
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already...
I see.
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want...
Tell me about the
Strickland and Ackroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed. so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter.
Are you satisfied with it?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem
原谅我的
overwhelmed
几
by
白
cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other
看第一次就知道。
circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick.
Always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me,
玻璃小瓶，未写完的信。哦，这里门都开着，会不会太危险？
Good evening, Doctor.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea. I am Thoreau Strickland. Doctor.
Please, could you tell me
I'm a great admirer of your work,
what made you choose?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me.
It's always a pleasure to.
This epidemic may be the century's.
I based my technique on my mental.
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the.
What can you tell me?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea.
Do you need help?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh, no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your...
I see. Well, you seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and...
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test.
Questions remain about our capacity.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's of...
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Aykroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
I'm quite busy right now.
Thank you for your time.
I will not let you down, my boy.
So tired. Will this shift never end?
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about your...
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
You seem worried about the safety of your family.
And I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother? if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Tell me more about the death.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Me, who?
I'm so tired. Will this shift never end?
Oh, kiếm bao đấy bao này.
Good evening, madam.
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan...
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick.
What do you think of your...
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we...
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
What can you tell me...
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer.
Are you really that rich?
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace.
May I ask...
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures.
Tell me more about your...
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware some...
Goodbye, Mrs. Good evening. I'm Doc...
No.
Really?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too.
I suppose that this pain...
Yes.
Could you at least tell me...
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful...
So painful.
I'm sure you realize that...
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that...
Yes, maybe.
How painful...
So painful.
I'll let you...
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Miss... Why did your mother have you hospitalized here?
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to...
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured, you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Why did your
My mother just wants...
Tell me about you.
I don't want to...
I have to go now.
Don't waste your time with me.
What can I do for you?
Thank you, nurse.
矫正。
Good evening.
Good evening.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Darkest thoughts in your heart.
My blood and soul. They belong to you now.
The life running in your veins. This dead flesh needs it.
Oh, please spare
I
me,
wonder why the
Dark Queen.
Gothics came here in the first
Spare
place.
your obedient slave.
Good evening, sir.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war and have carried one.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Why do you have such an...
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if...
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
So what do you do exactly?
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long.
Since...
It's a complete disaster.
It's...
Yesterday I got attacked by the...
You left an infected patient outside the hospital.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doc.
How is this...
You want to hear the situation?
Are you really?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know.
But you're not defending yourself.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them...
Tell me why.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins...
That's not a surprise. We've talked about...
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet. With all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin color that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
竟然给我钱。
Admit it. Nurse Hawkins is more than your lover. She's also your partner in crime.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed?
Have you no shame?
Don't you see the city is crumbling down? Today, people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow, we may be fighting for food.
What's going on?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
You do realize you could both get fucked?
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
During the war, I witnessed a few...
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
I'd like to...
Wise choice, Dr. Reed.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening.
Goodbye, nurse. Good evening, Doctor.
Dr. Reed.
You're exhausting yourself, Corkum.
No. We must keep on healing all those...
Your attitude is irresponsible, Doctor. Believe me.
You're right. This is a war, Dr. Reed, and I don't intend to surrender.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett. It's locked.
So many deaths. And what of my own life?
Damn.
Good evening.
Good evening,
What steps?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is...
And what about Milton?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
Milton cheats patients out of their money at this hospital, Pippa. Are you his accomplice?
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being useful? By abusing the sick and poor?
No. It is my definition of getting out of this useless life once and for all.
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
In your position, I would suggest a more elaborate defense. Cynicism will not save you.
This isn't cynicism, it's realism. You still need me, Dr. Reed, and you know it.
Whose idea was it?
What difference does it make?
Answer my question.
It was my idea first, even though Milton would say it was his, to protect me.
Pepper.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting.
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
If only there were more of us. Less resignation.
Oh, right. 到那边。哦。18级是大小。好高啊！哦，我的。哦，好，高原。
It's locked, all right.过高。
哦。
I cannot enter. This is an impressive knife.
Yeah, 不是。
There's a name engraved on the metal. Clay. What kind of man puts his name on a knife?
一样。 色的。干嘛啊？尿尿而已啦。干嘛你也要出去？6G。糟糕。截图片。
It's locked.
什么？ 二来，老师，20。